Welcome aboard, fellow enthusiasts, as we embark on another incredible video. Welcome, friends, to our video dedicated to 2008 Italian Grand Prix. Let's dive right in and uncover its wonders. The 2008 Italian Grand Prix, formerly the Formula One Gran Premio Santander D'Italia 2008, was a Formula One motor race held on 14 September 2008 at the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, Italy. It was the 14th race of the 2008 Formula One World Championship. Future four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel for the Toro Rosso team took a maiden victory, winning the 53-lap race from a maiden pole position. Heikki Kovalainen finished second in a McLaren, and Robert Kubica third in a BMW Sauber. Vettel began the race, started under the safety car, ahead of Kovalainen in second. Red Bull's Mark Webber started from third. Rain early in the race allowed Vettel to establish a solid lead over Kovalainen, which he extended as the track dried. Kubica and Fernando Alonso finished in the top four after starting from 11th and 8th, respectively. McLaren driver and Drivers' Championship leader Lewis Hamilton was able to move through the field after qualifying in 15th, finishing in 7th, one place behind rival Felipe Massa of Ferrari. Vettel's victory made him the youngest driver to win a Formula One race, at 21 years 73 days, in addition to giving Toro Rosso, which was formerly Minardi team, its maiden Formula One win despite using a 2007 spec engine, and also became the first German driver to win a race since Michael Schumacher at the 2006 Chinese Grand Prix. Vettel's record was broken by Max Verstappen, aged 18 years and 228 days, at the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix. Massa scored 1 point more than Hamilton, narrowing the McLaren driver's lead in the championship once more with 4 races remaining. However, Kovalainen's second-placed finish put McLaren closer to catching Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship. This race marked Toro Rosso's first and only podium until the 2019 German Grand Prix. This was also Kovalainen's last podium in Formula One. Brace yourself for a captivating discussion on background as we explore its nuances and implications. Heading into the 14th race of the season, McLaren driver Lewis Hamilton led the Drivers' Championship with 76 points. Ferrari driver Felipe Massa was second on 74 points, 2 points behind Hamilton. Behind Hamilton and Massa in the Drivers' Championship, Robert Kubica was third on 58 points in a BMW Sauber, and Massa's Ferrari teammate Kimi Räikkönen fourth on 57 points. Kubica's teammate Nick Heidfeld was fifth on 49 points. In the Constructors' Championship, Ferrari were leading on 131 points and McLaren were second on 119 points, 12 points behind. The BMW Sauber were third with 107 points. In the battle for fourth place, Toyota had 41 points, ahead of Renault with 36 points. After the previous race, Hamilton was penniless for cutting a chicane and gaining an advantage over Räikkönen in the closing laps. This meant that Hamilton was demoted from first to third position, giving victory to Massa. While McLaren had lodged an appeal against the decision, the result would not be heard until September 23. Reflecting on the controversy, Norbert Hogg, vice president of Mercedes-Benz Motorsport, said, "Following the rain-soaked Belgian Grand Prix, Massa expressed his hope that the Italian Grand Prix would be held on a dry track, saying it would be nice not to have the rain here and not have any opportunity to have a consistent race." The close nature of the championship meant that Ferrari's home race had the potential to be a turning point in the season. Testing at the Monza circuit in early September had indicated that the performance gap between McLaren and Ferrari had narrowed. Despite this, Ferrari were hoping that their straight-line speed would be better suited to Monza's long straights. Ferrari confirmed on September 12 that Räikkönen would continue to drive for the team until at least 2010, ending media speculation that he could be about to retire. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting practice and exploring its intricate connections to our topic. 3 practice sessions were held before the race, The first was held on Friday morning and the second on Friday afternoon. Both sessions lasted 90 minutes. The third session was held on Saturday morning and lasted an hour. All three sessions were affected by rain, with only the second giving teams any chance to run dry weather tyres. Adrian Sutil was quickest with the time of in the first session, more than half a second quicker than the next fastest drivers Rubens Barrichello and Giancarlo Fisichella. Timo Glock was the next quickest, almost 4 seconds behind Sutil. Conditions were so poor that 6 drivers, including both McLarens, failed to set times. The session was stopped 4 minutes early, though by that time no cars had entered the track for at least 10 minutes. The track dried out in the second session. Räikkönen adapted best to the changed conditions with a lap of significantly quicker than his morning time. Kubica was the next fastest, with his BMW teammate Heidfeld in third. Hamilton, Nico Rosberg and Massa rounded out the top 6. Glock was fastest in the final session with a time of, followed by Sebastian Vettel, Rosberg, Jarno Trulli, Kozuki Nakajima and Heidfeld. Hamilton only completed 8 laps, and finished last with a time almost 11 seconds behind Glock. Prepare yourself for an in-depth analysis of qualifying in this section. The qualifying session on Saturday afternoon was split into 3 parts. The first part ran for 20 minutes and eliminated the cars from qualifying that finished the session 16th or lower. The second part of qualifying lasted 15 minutes and eliminated cars that finished in positions 11 to 15. The final part of qualifying determined the positions from 1st to 10th and decided pole position. Cars which competed in the final session of qualifying were not allowed to refuel before the race, and as such carried more fuel than in the previous sessions. Vettel became the youngest driver in the history of Formula One to take pole position, with a time of in very wet conditions. He was joined on the front row of the grid by Kovalainen. Mark Webber qualified third after his final lap pushed Sebastian Vettel into 4th position. Massa took 6th position behind Rosberg. Trulli, Fernando Alonso, Glock and Heidfeld rounded out the top 10. Kubica qualified 11th, blaming late rain in the second qualifying session for his position. Fisichella qualified 12th to give Force India its best grid position of the season. Both Räikkönen and Hamilton blamed a late entry into the second session for their poor qualifying times, which saw them eliminated in 14th and 15th positions, respectively. Hamilton originally ran on the standard wet weather tyres, and by the time he had changed to extreme wet weather tyres the rain had intensified. This was McLaren's only result outside the top 10 in qualifying all season and the first time in Hamilton's career that he had failed to progress into the final qualifying session. Let's now zoom in on race and uncover the hidden gems that lie within. Heavy rain prior to the race made the track very slippery, with more rain expected throughout the day. The air temperature at the track was 14 C. Jenson Button and Kozuki Nakajima started the race from the pit lane, their teams choosing to make adjustments from qualifying to the setups of their cars. All cars were using extreme wet weather tyres. The race began at 2 local time at behind the safety car because of the rain, meaning that there would be a rolling start. Bourdais' car stalled on the grid and was pushed back to the pits. By the time his team restarted the car, he was in last position and 1 lap down. The safety car pulled into the pit lane at the end of the second lap. Vettel retained his lead into the first corner, followed by Kovalainen, Webber, Rosberg and Massa. Kubica passed Heidfeld at the first chicane. Glock passed Alonso later in the lap. Vettel immediately opened a lead of 2 seconds over Kovalainen. The McLaren driver experienced visibility problems as a result of the spray off the back of the Toro Rosso. Alonso regained 7th from Glock when he passed him at the first chicane on lap 4 as the track began to dry. Räikkönen and Hamilton passed Coulthard on the same lap to take 12th and 13th positions, respectively. The next lap, Hamilton attempted to pass Räikkönen at the third corner, but overshot, cutting the chicane. Emerging ahead of the Ferrari, he gave the place back, returning the advantage and avoiding a penalty. Glock spun on lap 7, losing 1 place to Kubica. Vettel continued to open his lead on Kovalainen. By lap 8 it stood at 6.3 seconds. Both Räikkönen and Hamilton passed Fisichella in separate maneuvers over the next 2 laps. Hamilton took 11th position from Räikkönen on lap 11, outbraking the Ferrari at turn 4. Fisichella collided with Coulthard 2 laps later. As a result of the contact, the Force India's front wing broke loose and lodged under the car. Consequently, Fisichella lost control at turn 9, spinning into the gravel trap and retiring. Massa overtook Rosberg for 4th on the same lap, beginning a close fight where both drivers repeatedly exchanged positions over the next 3 laps. Massa eventually consolidated 4th position on lap 15. Hamilton passed Heidfeld, Glock, Kubica and Alonso in separate maneuvers to sit in 7th by lap 19. Vettel pitted from 1st position on lap 18. Kovalainen, Webber and Massa pitted 4 laps later. Light rain began to fall on lap 26, though only lasted 5 minutes. Glock, Trulli, Räikkönen and Hamilton completed their first pit stops over the following laps. Coulthard was the first driver to try intermediate wet weather tyres when he pitted on lap 28. He lost grip in the wet and went straight through the first chicane. Alonso, Heidfeld, Kubica and Piquet took their only pit stops for the race soon after, all changing to intermediate tyres. By lap 36 the majority of the field were running on intermediate tyres. Webber was passed at turn 8 by Massa on lap 35. The Australian spun after the corner, though managed to retain 7th position. A lap later, however, Hamilton outbraked Webber at turn 3 and demoted the Red Bull driver to 8th. Hamilton began lapping fastest, recording on lap 38, more than a second faster than first-place Vettel. Lap 45 saw 3 drivers set consecutive new fastest laps. Kubica's was beaten by Webber with a Ers. They were then superseded by Räikkönen, who set a. On lap 49 Webber attempted to pass Hamilton at the first chicane, but the 2 cars touched wheels. Webber was forced down the escape road, and when he emerged in front of Hamilton, he returned the position. Räikkönen continued to move through the field. He passed Coulthard and Piquet in separate maneuvers to take 9th position. Nakajima attempted to pass Coulthard into turn 9, but succeeded only in turning into the Red Bull, sending it into the gravel trap. Coulthard pitted for a new front wing, which dropped him to 17th. Vettel crossed the finish line on lap 53 by 12.5 seconds over Kovalainen, becoming the youngest driver in Formula One history to win a Grand Prix. The one-stop strategies used by Kubica and Alonso paid off as they finished in 3rd and 4th, respectively. Heidfeld, Massa, Hamilton and Webber rounded out the top 8. Räikkönen finished in 9th position, setting the fastest lap time on the final lap. As we progress, let's shine a spotlight on post-race and examine its intricate interplay within our topic. The top 3 finishers appeared on the podium and in the subsequent press conference. Vettel acknowledged the support of his team, saying the setup of the car perfectly suited the way the race developed. Other drivers congratulated Vettel. Hamilton said that with all that pressure it is easier to make mistakes, and he obviously didn't, so congratulations to him. He did a good job. The Grand Prix also marked the first win by Toro Rosso, the first non-Ferrari Italian-based team to win since 1957. Ferrari team principal Stefano Domenicali paid tribute to the team, who use Ferrari engines, saying they deserve it. They are close to us, and we are happy to work with them because we are giving them our engine. Kovalainen expressed his disappointment in finishing second, saying, Hamilton was satisfied with his performance in the race, saying today was all about damage control. I came away with some points and kept my lead in the World Drivers' Championship. Massa said that he had hoped to do better, but added I've managed to make up a point on my nearest rival, so this is absolutely not a negative result. Massa took 3 points from the race, compared to Hamilton's 2. And narrowed the gap in the Drivers' Championship to 1 point with 4 races remaining. Kovalainen's second-placed finish closed the gap in the Constructors' Championship between Ferrari and McLaren from 12 to 5 points. Third-placed Kubica said that his strategy allowed him to capitalize on the changing track conditions, as his only stop seemed the best time to change to intermediate tires. The Polish driver said that racing in Italy was particularly special for him, having lived in the country for 5 years. That is why we divided the helmet into 2 pieces. One was Italian colors, one was Polish colors. Alonso, who used a similar strategy, said the result today is very good because Monza was supposed to be the race that we were looking forward to the least. Toyota's failure to score at the race meant that they were tied with Renault on 41 points. Brace yourself for an enlightening exploration of championship standings after the race as we dive into its profound implications. Drivers' Championship standings. Constructors' Championship standings. Note, only the top 5 positions are included for both sets of standings. Bold text and an asterisk indicates competitors who still had a theoretical chance of becoming world champion. Don't forget to check out my other videos for more valuable content.